Hello everyone and welcome to the Fortnightly. My name is Tito. Now, every now and then I meet people who tell me that they're interested in photography and they'd like to know which camera I think they should buy as their first camera. Now, what camera should I buy is a bit of a tricky question because no two people will give you the same answer to that question. It's like saying, I'm about to get my driver's license. What do you think I should buy from as my first car? There's no one size fits all answer to that kind of question. So, in this video, I'll be sharing with you my tips on how to choose your first DSLR camera. Now, before I get into it, I have to state that I'm working with the assumption that the person making the inquiry about the cameras wants to buy a DSLR either because they want to take pictures as a hobbyist or they want to become a professional photographer at some point in time. Now, that leads me to my first point. What do you want to use the camera for, and how serious are you about photography? If you're a hobbyist, then you may not need to spend as much on a DSLR camera as an aspiring professional would. Just do a little research and go for a camera that does the job and that produces the kind of quality that you need. If you're an aspiring professional, on the other hand, that doesn't mean that you should go out and buy the most expensive camera out there either. If you're really serious about the craft, you can do what I did. You can go for a camera that delivers, and one that you can still count on or fall back on as a second camera when you can eventually afford to acquire a more advanced camera. My first camera was a Sony Alpha 230 and it cost $400, and I still use it today as a backup camera every now and then. Number two, buy a camera that you can comfortably afford. I personally don't think it's a good idea to starve yourself in order to buy your first DSLR camera. Now, if you don't plan on buying another camera for a very long time, and if you've given it a lot of thought, then fine, by all means, spend a king's ransom on buying your first DSLR camera. But even then, do remember that eventually, especially if you plan on going pro, eventually you'll need to buy accessories and gear like extra batteries, an external flash, also known as a speed light, lenses, a camera bag, and so on and so forth. And all these things do cost money. So, what will it profit a photog if he or she buys a camera but can't do any work with it because they don't have any money left to buy the accessories that will help them get the job done? That's why I always advise people to buy a camera that can get the job done and that doesn't break the bank either. 3. Is it just for photography, or do you plan on using the DSLR for video as well? Nowadays, you find some videographers who dabble in photography, and you also find some photographers who dabble in videography. The reason is a few years ago, with the advent of the Canon 7D, I think in 2009, DSLR cameras started offering high quality video functions as well. So when I bought my first dual function DSLR, I didn't really have serious intentions of using the video function per se, but over the years and with several projects that I've embarked on, I've really found the video function to be very handy. So I guess the point that I'm making is be somewhat prescient about your purchase. Try and look into the future and try and see if you might need that video function further down the road. Because if you do, it may be wiser to make the additional investment in a dual function DSLR camera now than further down the road in the future. Now, if you have any tips that you'd like to share on, how to go about buying your first DSLR camera, or you want to share your experience, what your experience was like buying your first DSLR camera, please leave your comment in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you and, hear what it was like for you when you got your first DSLR camera, essentially. That brings me to the end of this episode of the Fortnightly. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I would also appreciate it if you were to subscribe to my YouTube channel, guys. Come on. Thanks, guys, for watching once again. Remember also to visit my website, which is www.abumere.com. Thanks once again, guys, for the third time. I will see you in a fortnight. Take care.